Sorry, tell me a little bit more. You're with Coop, right?
Yes.
And you're using your skills in order to inspire people, and I guess also to drive them towards the future.
Yeah, that's what we do with the recipes. We're trying to make people to cook in another way, and now even
we have Matthias as well,
yes,
right?
Matthias is with us now with the bean campaign. We have it on television for the moment. So you are with Coop, and the beans are in the future, of course.
Okay, so you're trying to push people towards beans in the future.
Yes, that's one thing I do, definitely. I try to take people away from the meat and to more vegetables, and to eat more vegetables.
Well, how much freedom do you have then? Or you have to push people in a direction where Coop makes more money or where the planet gets more sustainable?
But that's the good thing with my job, that I just wanted to build the feelings for Coop. So I don't have to build the business, and I think the business are also in that direction.
So you can truly say that when you're now prophesizing about the future and how and what we will eat in the future, you're absolutely true to your heart and your knowledge, and you're not selling the Coop way now.
No, honestly, I'm not, because I'm now right now. What I do.
Very good.
Yes,
Then. So what will we eat in the future then?
We will eat more vegetables, and we will eat more vegetables instead of meat in the daily. Maybe not when you have your daily food in Monday to the Thursdays, you would take away the meat and get more vegetables in prepared food, I think.
More vegetables and prepared food. So less meat and any meat at all, or?
I don't think maybe white meat is people eat more chicken, but the red meat is going out, and the pigs and the cows are definitely not so fashionable right now.
But yes, you're selling beans now in the Coop commercials. Are you a total sellout, or is this the future?
It's a total sellout.
You're a total sellout. Okay. I like honest people.
No, but actually, I like beans. But I've seen over the last, I would say, especially over the last 10 years, I started to work much more with greens in general in my professional cooking, and also at home. And if you look on a restaurant plate here up in the Nordic countries, let's say 30 years ago, it was 80% was animal proteins, and then in the best, maybe it was 20% of some greens on the plate, not always well prepared, but at least 20%. And I would say in the last 10 years, we've seen a change. It's the opposite. It's 80% 80% of greens in a plate, and you maybe you flavor it with animal proteins, or you mix it in a way, and that's why I thought it was a little bit interesting that I saw that no of my very talented colleagues in this region actually did the 100% vegetarian restaurant. So I thought, why don't I try to do that? And that's why I started Rutabaga.
And by the way, how many have been to Rutabaga? Oh, that means the rest of you have a great experience ahead of you. You should really. It's a really interesting dining experience. See, is that true? Will we eat beans in the future?
Yes.
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 Full stop.
Yes. Stop. We can just stop the panels. Beans.
Beans.
Yes, beans are the future, and products made from beans. Like instead of just importing tofu, soy products, I think that we in Sweden, if we talk Swedish food tech, I think that we will produce much more interesting bean products with locally grown beans, like some kind of Swedish black bean tofu from Öland and so on. And I think that we will experiment with textures and flavors, because bean protein is extremely diverse. I mean, you can do a lot with it. It's fantastic for creativity. Like you have the whole range from crispy to creamy, fluffy, dense, everything you can get from beans. So I believe that beans will, I think they will be a larger part of the future plate. And I think that we also on the future plate will have supplements in the form of, say, protein made from electricity. I think that there will be not perhaps the majority of the plate will be these sort of new, interesting, weird things, but I think they will be there, and then they might grow. And then I think there will be also sort of an anti-trend to that, with more of the sort of older crops, older cereal, things that have, more nutrition to them, not quite as monocultural as we have it today. So I think those will be the two major trends.
Those two major trends. Matthias?
Can I comment on that or not? One thing I find interesting, I also think that people will eat much more, eat less animal protein in the future, but I think some will still do it. But the problem, if we want to have that change in that direction, is actually the lack of natural umami flavor in vegetarian food. It's so easy when you cook, if you fry a beef or a great piece of fish, and when it's new cooked, it's like, this is so good. And the help that you find in the stores today is very much focused on that we should actually eat animal proteins. So the help for cooking is made out of a frame of eating animal protein.
So
But
they
if-
help us, you mean?
Absolutely, absolutely,
manual-
because that is how we've been eating for a very long time. And the problem is that it's very difficult today to find these products that, you can use white miso, you can use fermented black beans, but often if you should find these products, you have to go to Asian store. You don't find it in the regular store.
There should be a shelf actually in the store with umami products, because like you say, we're always looking for the umami flavor, because the flavor of umami is what tells our inner caveman that we will survive for one more day. So that flavor is extremely important to us, and the consumer will almost always make choices with mouth and belly, and not just this is good for me and I should eat this for the planet. When you're hungry, you go for what tastes good, right? So umami shelf.
Umami shelf.
The umami chef. So Sarah, do you
Yes.
cook a lot with these umami things? Try to help people understand how to.
It's really easy to bring umami with just what you told, the bacon or cheese or everything that is from animals. So I think the one thing is to grow meat, lab meat. If you can get people longing for the taste and the texture of meat, and if it's possible to make that. Now we're more open-minded to lab meat than we were before. So I think that people they're longing for meat, they like meat, the taste and the texture. So I think in the future we will make meat, because that's what we want. And then that's maybe not what we need, but we want it. So I think that is the future to please the people that aren't that dedicated. If it's cheap and it tastes like meat, they're going to eat it. If it's not, they're going to eat meat.
Okay, so you're a strong believer not only in beans, but complementing them with these umami steaks made out of a petri dish, essentially,
Yes.
or a bioreactor.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, but that's pretty cool. So Matthias, you have a vegetarian restaurant today, Tabaga. Would you serve cultured meat?
Sorry?
Would you serve cultured meat? Because it's not really about killing animals and butchering them and. Or is it about is it an ethical decision?
First of all, I'm not a vegetarian myself, but I
No.
like greens. I have other restaurants who also serve meat.
Yeah.
But as I look on it, is like I find nature so interesting. There's so many fantastic things in nature that you can eat. So, in my opinion, if I don't want to eat meat, I rather eat good vegetables. That's my point of view.
But starting Rutabaga, was that an ethical decision, or I would like to play around a bit more with the vegetarian stuff, or?
First of all, I've been a chef for almost 30 years and worked mainly with all kinds of ingredients. But what I found very important to myself was I needed a new challenge to myself, and I wanted to I needed a new challenge, and then I thought, and I talked to the guys in my team, and what would be a great challenge? Make a vegetarian restaurant must be a very big challenge, and it is actually.
What's the most profound challenge?
It's not for us. It's not the most difficult. It's actually how to cook the food, because we do very much the same, but we've been working with vegetables for a very long time. But I think the biggest problem is that so many people have so many. Very many people have an idea of what vegetarian food is, and it's like, okay, vegetarian food is this, and I have a very strong opinion on if it's good or not. It's very black or white, and I used to say that you don't have to be Italian to feel for a pizza a day. And it's the same with vegetarian food. You don't have to be vegetarian to eat vegetarian food. It's like there is good food and it's bad food. Yeah.
That's true.
It's a good plate of food. It's a good plate of food.
That's very
Good
true.
food
Yeah,
and
big
bad
hand
food.
for that. Good food and bad food. Sigrid, how will we eat in the future?
Yeah. As I said, I think what we will eat will be a combination of high-tech produced, lab-grown meat, electricity and carbon dioxide produced protein, and so on, and old nutritious crops, locally grown beans, texturized, funny products made from beans, and so on, and locally grown greens like this in-farm and so on. So I think that it's going to be a combination of something very new that is kind of far removed from what we think usually about farming and soil and so on, and then things that are ultra soil, old, traditional. It's going to be that sort of combination.
Is that on the same plate, or is that in two different plates?
But who's going to cook this
Yes.
for us?
That's I think that is one thing. People want to eat better food than they are able to cook. So that's why all the good chefs are going to be in the industry more than they are today. I think the prepared food that you can buy in stores are going to get better and more tasty and more delicious than they are today. We're not going to accept eat things that taste like it smells in an older house. If you eat in a diner, it smells really bad, and that's what prepared vegetable stuff tasted like before. And I think it's going to be a lot better in the future. The taste is going to be, because chefs are going to work with the industry.
Wonderful. Sigrid, you agree?
I agree, but I also want to raise sort of a finger of warning about the hyper-palatable foods that we have today. Something needs to be done about them, because we have foods from the food industry and also like fast food, all the kind of junk food, that are sort of engineered to bypass our mechanisms of hunger and satiety. Is not good. We need to get, I think we need like a movement of chefs and of consumers to get back to eating more clean flavors and I mean doing things like, I think like all of us three do, like cooking clean, natural, good food, using the flavor that's already there in the produce, instead of tailoring and engineering and sort of tricking your cells into just laying in the fat.
So less chemists and more chefs in the development departments of the big industry.
And
You
then
agree with that?
Foodtech to spread the information.
Yeah, of course I agree with that, but I also think it's important that today there is so many. There is a lot of people have interesting ideas with food, and I think we can share them to try to make food better. But the key a little bit to vegetarian food is that there is a main problem if you think of vegetarian food as you think of food when you do it with animal protein. Traditionally, when you make let's say you make a fish, you take the bones from the fish and you make a sauce, and from that bones from the animal protein you can always make a reduction. You make a stock, and that stock, if you reduce it a lot, tastes more than the material in itself. But if you take something with vegetables and you try to make a stock, you can never reduce it, and it tastes more than let's say the carrot in itself. So that's you have to think of cooking vegetarian food.
Okay.
That's what I think that is really. Why are you supposed to be 100% vegetarian or 100% meat eater? It's that if you could use the stock from meat and then cook the vegetables, then you have it's a lot less meat and a lot more vegetables, but you still get the taste and the flavor.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.